A warning for those of you who have not watched Wonder Woman 1984, this review will contain spoilers for the movie. As a non-spoiler, I will say that the movie is not terrible, but it's not so good. So if you want to avoid any spoilers, click away now. Wonder Woman returns for a sequel based on the time period of 1984. The conflicting forces of the story is about truth versus lies. Diana's character development centers around her learning to appreciate the value of truth, that it's better to face the truth than to lose yourself in beautiful lies. She learns this lesson after the world faces a spiritual force. This force is the God of Lies. It has the power to grant wishes. Anything you wish for, the God of Lies can make it possible. When Diana is not saving people from danger, she keeps herself occupied with a day job. She works at a museum, and she's also a philanthropist for the company. She's very successful in her career, but she's still unhappy with her life. She still mourns the death of her ex-lover, Steve Trevor. She's not able to open her heart to any man as she's still grieving. The main characters are Wonder Woman, obviously, played by Gal Gadot, Barbara Minerva, played by Kristen Wiig, Max Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, and Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine. A mysterious stone is mailed to the museum. This stone is powered by the spirit of the God of Lies. Diana examines the stone. She doesn't know what it is yet. It's written in Latin. She reads the text, and the text says something along the lines that it can grant wishes. Diana wishes that Trevor would return to her. She doesn't really think anything of it. She doesn't actually believe that the stone has any superpowers. I guess she made this wish as a hopeless dream. Barbara Minerva also works at the museum, and she becomes very interested in the stone. She's very socially awkward. People generally think of her as a weird person. Being a social outcast for her entire life, she gets frustrated, and in a desperate attempt to improve her life, she makes a wish to the stone. She admires Diana to the point of jealousy. She wishes to be just like her. Max Lord is a TV presenter. He's not as successful as he hoped to be. He wants to prove himself to the world. He wants to achieve greatness. He mainly wants this to make his son proud of him. He finds out about this mysterious stone that can grant wishes, so he steals it from the museum. But Max doesn't wish for his dreams to come true. Instead, he wishes to become the Dreamstone himself. Max now has the power of the Dreamstone. The spirit in the stone takes possession of his body. He now has the power to grant people's wishes, and he uses that to his advantage. The characters start to notice that the stone did indeed have some sort of supernatural force. Their lives change drastically. Steve Trevor returns from the dead. Barbara is more respected by her peers, and Max Lord built an empire out of granting people's wishes in exchange for power and wealth. This all sounds too good to be true, because it is. Every wish comes with a price. For every wish you make, you have to give something back. Diana loses half of her powers. She gets weaker. Max Lord realizes that the exchange for his wish was his health. The more powerful he becomes, his health deteriorates. Barbara goes from a sweet, awkward girl to a more vicious person. She wishes for more power. She wants to be stronger and more dangerous. She transforms into a half cheetah, half human hybrid. She now has the strength and speed of a cheetah. But the more powerful she becomes, the more she loses her humanity. As the world becomes aware of this dream stone, of course, everyone wants a piece of the pie. From the average citizen to politicians in power, everyone wants to wish for something. Max Lord goes around the world and grants people's wishes. This essentially led the world to chaos. It got to the point of causing a nuclear war. Wonder Woman sees the chaos, and now she must save the world. She realizes that in order for the world to go back in order, everyone has to renounce their wishes. So that's an overview of the plot. I thought that the pace of the movie was very rushed. The movie wasn't short. The time length is 2 hours and 30 minutes. That's pretty long. The problem is that they try to fit in too many character stories in such a limited amount of time that it ended up being rushed. For example, when Diana meets Steve, brought back to life, that scene was so rushed and underwhelming. There wasn't much of a reaction from Diana. I mean, her long lost lover just returned to her and she barely reacted. I don't blame Gal Gadot for this because she can pull off a good performance. I think the director was lazy. We don't get to see how he feels coming back from the dead. It's not explained how he came back because we don't actually see Diana making a wish. The only reason why we knew he would show up is because they revealed him in the trailers. The audience are never told that Diana made a wish. All of it is explained off screen. And that's another thing. I don't like that they showed him in the trailers because it ruined the moment. It didn't have any emotional effect because I was already expecting to see him. That moment should have been a surprise, but it wasn't because they spoiled it in the trailers. Trevor coming back from the dead was rushed and underwhelming. Watching this movie, I didn't feel like I had a cinematic experience. It felt like I was watching a soap opera rather than a movie. They had some really cheesy dialogues, like it was filmed from the 1960s. I don't know what they were trying to do. If they were trying to be funny, it wasn't working. It just came off as corny. So all of this is about her learning to stand up for the truth. She realizes that in order to save the world, everyone has to give up their wishes because people have made wishes to escape their harsh realities. But at what cost? The world is now on the verge of a nuclear war. Diana renounces her wish, which means she loses Steve again. Because the truth is, the real Steve is dead. This new Steve brought back to life is just an illusion. As she renounces her wish, she regains her powers. She then gives an international speech to the world about how they can all become heroes if they renounce their wishes. They all just listen to her and everything goes back to normal. It's a happy ending. So it had to lead to a nuclear war for her to learn this lesson. And all she had to do was give an emotional speech to end it all. Anyone could have done that. That doesn't make her an extraordinary superhero. So it was her love for Steve that gave her the strength to do the right thing. They did that in the first movie and now they did it again on this one. And it's just cliche at this point. It would have been more effective if she just fought against Max Lord because he has the power of the Dreamstone inside him. If she destroys him, she abolishes the god of lies. But she refuses to kill him. Instead, she tries to convince him to give up his powers. I mean, there's no guarantee that he would actually do that. Wonder Woman is a fighter. If she has to kill in order to save the world, she would do it. She's a warrior. She's built for combat and war. The writers wanted to make Max Lord a sympathetic villain, which is why they didn't make Diana fight him. Instead, she gives this really cheesy speech about how love is what saves the world, and she says she can't fight against Max Lord, that only the people have the power to save the world. Honestly, I don't believe that. Wonder Woman is literally a god killer. She has the power to kill gods. In the first movie, she defeated Ares, who is a demon god. And suddenly she can't fight anymore? Come on. Cheetah and Wonder Woman have a little confrontation in the end. And honestly, this was the most disappointing moment in the entire movie. Cheetah is Wonder Woman's arch nemesis. They built her up from beginning to end, and we only see her fully transformed for like 5 minutes in the end. She only shows up in the end, and when she's finally revealed, we only get a glimpse of her. She was teased heavily in the trailers, and we barely see her. Honestly, I'm gonna stop watching trailers because they just promote lies. The fight between Wonder Woman and Cheetah was shot at night. You could barely see Cheetah in the dark. I think they didn't show Cheetah that much because the design for Cheetah required a lot of CGI and they just didn't have the budget. The story should have been more focused on Wonder Woman confronting her main enemy instead of being in love with a dead man. I was really excited to see Cheetah, and we just didn't see enough of her. Despite all the negatives that I have to say, there are some positives that I want to talk about. The action scenes are good. They do very well at demonstrating Wonder Woman's fighting skills. There were moments where I reacted to seeing Wonder Woman being such a badass. The camera angles were very impressive as well. They just brought those scenes to life. Wonder Woman flew in this. She was literally flying like Superman. It was cool to see her do that, although this did raise some questions. If she can now fly, why didn't we see her do that in other movies like Batman vs. Superman or the Justice League? There's an inconsistency there. I also like the scene in the White House where Wonder Woman and Cheetah fight for the first time. That was quite intense. Wonder Woman had lost half of her powers at this point, and it was interesting to see that although she's a powerful warrior, she still has weaknesses. As Wonder Woman gets weaker, Cheetah becomes stronger. So yeah, I would say that was my favorite scene in the entire movie. We actually see Wonder Woman flying an invisible plane. I like how they referenced Wonder Woman's comic book origins. She does fly an invisible plane. I didn't think that they could pull that off in live action, but they did. It was cool. We didn't see Cheetah much, but when we could see her, the CGI was very impressive. Hans Zimmer's composition really brought those scenes to life. The scores always fit the mood in each scene. I like Kristen Wiig as Cheetah. She fit the role very well. Gal Gadot and Pedro Pascal did very well at representing emotion. Chris Pine was very funny at times. From what I've seen on the internet, the majority of the fans are very disappointed with the movie. They go as far as to call it a disaster. I agree that the movie is not good, although I wouldn't go as far as to call it a disaster. There are some good moments, but I don't condemn them. I completely understand where they are coming from. In the end, we don't see how the characters' story arcs conclude. Cheetah returns to her normal self and we never see her again. We never see how her and Wonder Woman interact after they just had a fight. What happens to Max Lord? He committed major crimes. He caused a nuclear war. Does he face consequences for his actions? We don't know, because after he renounces his wish, he just runs back to his son and we never hear of him again. The ending was super rushed. It was messy and left major plot holes. If there's one thing that remained consistently good, was the actors, the music, and the special effects. But the script was just bad. This film just feels lazy. It has been announced that Warner Bros. Is in production for Wonder Woman 3. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we'll see more of Cheetah. I was really looking forward for this movie because the first Wonder Woman movie was phenomenal. I loved it. The craziest thing about it is that I had low expectations going into it, and it surprised me. I had a great experience. Unfortunately, the second one didn't have that spark to it. It felt more like a tragic love story soap opera than a superhero movie. My rating for Wonder Woman 1984, from 1 to 5, I'd give it a 3.5. And that's me being generous. So that's my honest review. Thank you for watching and see you guys in 2021.